This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. I'm the birthday boy for today, May the 6th. Is a famous baseball player who is still living, even though he's 92 years old. Well, soon to be 93. Anyway, he's a legend, playing for the Giants franchise almost all his career, except for one half season with the Mets. Anyway, the Giants knew what they were getting when they got him, and he's been one of the best statistical guys around. He's even part of the president. He even got a Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2015. This man has a lot of things going for him. His name is Say Hey Willie Mays. He was born May 6, 1931 in Westfield, Alabama. His father was a talented baseball player with the black team, and his mother was a gifted high school basketball and track star. To his family and close friends, he was known as Buck. But his parents were never married, but they separated when Mays was 3. His father would raise him and 2 aunts as well. Anyway, so he went to church every Sunday and all that. Anyway, he was exposed to baseball at an early age. His favorite baseball player growing up was Joe DiMaggio. He would play several sports in high school and was good at basketball. Anyway, he played for a Negro minor league team in Chattanooga in 1948, but would join the Negro Leagues with Birmingham. Anyway, Mays would only play home games for Birmingham, whereas his high school principal was not too happy. He could still play high school football. Mays was part of Birmingham's team that went to the 1948 Negro World Series losing to Homestead. It was pretty much impressive. He graduated from high school. The Boston Braves and Brooklyn Dodgers actually scouted him, but it was the Giants scout that got him to sign the $4,000 contract, meaning he was in the Giants system. So he went to AAA in Minneapolis in 1951 and did well. Anyway, Mays was called up to the Giants May 24th, 1951. Mays was reluctant to accept the promotion because he didn't believe he was ready to face Major League pitchers yet. However, Giants manager Leo DeRocher called him, saying, "Quit costing the ball club money with long distance phone calls and join the team." Anyway, the Giants were hoping for Mays to help him defensively in center field as well as offensively. Offensively, because the Polo Grounds was unusually horseshoe shaped. Left field was 280 feet, right field was 258, but the deepest part of the park was 483 feet in center field. Mays would be in his first major league game May 25th, 1951, against the Phillies. He was actually 0 for 12 to start his career, but hit a home run off Warren Spahn to finally do it. And then Mays went hitless again in 12 at bats, so he was 1 for 25 in his career. And was told to stop trying to pull the ball, just makes contact. And then he would be batting pretty well. He put up 290. He would put up a 290 batting average the 1951 season in 121 games with 20 home runs, 68 RBIs. He won the National League Rookie of the Year award and all that. Mays would be part of the World Series in 1951. Of course, that was the year that the Giants made that big comeback against Brooklyn and the shot heard around the world by Bobby Thompson. In fact, Willie Mays was actually on deck when Bobby Thompson hit that 3-run home run to win the tiebreaker series. Mays didn't know what it would have been like if he was at bat in that game. So Mays would face his boyhood hero Joe DiMaggio in the 1951 World Series. Giants lost in 6 games and all that. In Game 1, Him, Hank Thompson, and Monty Irvin became the first all African American outfield in Major League history. Mays would hit poorly. So anyway, that was huge. Mays learned that the U.S. Army drafted him to serve in the Korean War. He would play the first few seasons in 1952 with the Giants before leaving for the Army. He reported to Fort Eustis in Virginia to be a part of military thing. Because of military service, he missed almost 2 full seasons. He was discharged on March 1st, 1954, and went back to the Giants. On opening day, he hit a home run off Carl Erskine, who recently passed away. And after he batted .250 in his first 20 games, he was moved to fifth in the batting order and told to stop attempting to pull the ball and try to get hits to right field. So Mays would change his batting stance and sit straighter at the plate, keeping his feet closer together. And it worked. 25 RBIs in the next 20 games. He was selected for the NL All-Star team, part of 24 straight All-Star game appearances. Now, of course, that number is a little bit inflated because between 1959 and 1962, they had 2 All-Star games a year, which was weird. Why would you have 2 All-Star games in one season? Well, yeah. But anyway, Mays would become the first player ever to hit 30 home runs before the All-Star game. And Neil DeRosa, the Giants manager, said, "Stop trying to hit home runs." Well, Mays would only hit 5 home runs after July 28th and actually won the batting title with a .345 mark. Despite this, he hit 41 home runs and was named NL MVP. Of course, the Giants would take on the Indians in the 1954 World Series. Cleveland was heavily favored because of their pitching staff. And then, of course, we all know about the whole catch, 8th inning, game 1, when Vic Wertz hit a ball 425 feet to Willie Mays, who had to make the over-the-shoulder running grab. And that was a huge one. Mays would throw a cannon towards the infield to the cutoff man. And that was actually credited with the fact that the Cleveland runners could not advance too far out, because if he made a terrible throw, then those 2 runners would have kept running. All that. It prevented 2 Indians runners from scoring, preserving a tie game. So regardless of that, that was a huge play. And then the Giants won the game in the 10th inning on a 3-run home run by Dusty Rhodes, not the wrestler, but the Giants player. Mays scored the winning run, and the Giants propelled themselves to a 4-game sweep of Cleveland. Mays would start to base steal and all that, and put up 51 home runs in the 55 season. Despite that, he was 4th in MVP voting. So anyway, Bill Rigney, his new manager, was not really too happy with that. All that. He did hit 36 home runs and 40 stolen bases, so he did pretty well. Fortunately, though, manager Rigney gave Mays less direction, saying that he trusted his star player's ability and instinct and all that, and they got along with each other. Mays would do pretty well, winning the first of 12 consecutive Gold Gloves in center field. He put up 38 steals and hit 35 home runs. Anyway, the Giants would move from New York to San Francisco, and people thought that Willie Mays could challenge for the home run mark and all that. Willie Mays almost got the batting title in '58, but lost it out to Richie Ashburn. He was given the highest paid contract in baseball with a $75,000 contract for 1959. Mays would have his first serious injury colliding with Sammy Way in spring training, which meant that thing. But fortunately, he was part strong. start of the season. He would bat .313 with 34 home runs, 113 RBIs, leading the NL in stolen bases for the fourth straight year. And after 2 years at Seal Stadium, they moved to Candlestick Park. However, home runs were a minimum at that ballpark because of the San Francisco winds. And a lot of people said that if Willie Mays had not played at Candlestick Park, he would have been a 700 home run man. Regardless of that, he led the NL in hits in 1960 with 190. In 1961, he put up a 4 home run game against the Braves at County Stadium. And all that. But he wasn't sure he could play because of food poisoning. But yeah, he looked pretty impressive. Mays would hit 40 home runs with 129 runs scored and 123 RBIs. Mays did pretty well in the 1962 season, finishing second in voting for MVP to Maury Wills, despite the fact that it was just because he had the 100 plus stolen bases and all that. Mays did well and actually caught the final out of the tiebreaker for the Dodgers to get the Giants to the World Series against the Yankees. They were close and all that. Mays would come up to the plate in the bottom of the ninth of Game 7 of the 62 World Series against Ralph Terry and hit a ball into the right field corner that might have been deep enough to score a Lou, but it was held at third base. And then, of course, the next batter was Willie McCovey, who hit that line drive that Bob Richardson snagged and saved the Yankees to the World Series and all that. He would have a record-setting contract and all that. He put up 47 home runs in the 1964 season. Anyway, Willie Mays would win the NL MVP in 1965, putting up 52 home runs. The Giants were close in the chase for the pennant, but lost to the Dodgers. So yeah, he had 11 years between the MVP awards, which was the longest gap by any major leaguer. Mays broke Mel Ott's record for home runs in the National League in 1966. He would put up 37 home runs on 103 RBIs. Anyway, he looked pretty impressive for the Giants in the late 60s. He put up a 600th home run September 22nd, 1969. Mays would still be around. He picked up his 3,000th hit in July 1970. And he looked pretty impressive and all that. Anyway, Mays got to the playoffs in 1971 as the Giants won the NL West. He took on the Pirates. But they lost to the Reds in 4 games. Mays would have a torturous start to the 72 season, batting .184 through his first 19 games. Mays would get a 2-year, $330,000 contract. But he had problems. So the Giants traded him to the Mets May 1972 for Charlie Williams. And, this was huge. The Mets owner wanted Mays to stay in New York and all that. His Mets debut was against the Giants of all teams May 14th and put up 88 games with a .250 batting average and 8 home runs. All that. So anyway, Mays would have some issues and all that by 1973. He did be part of the Mets team that did go to the NLCS, winning the NL East. Mays hit a home run off Don Gullett, August 1973, which was his 660th and final one. And he said 1972 would be his last season. And all that. He said goodbye to baseball, putting up 66 games with the Mets, 211 with 6 home runs. Mays would only play one game in the NLCS, Game 5, as he had a pinch hit RBI single, helping the Mets get to the 73 World Series. Mays would start in center field during the series because Rusty Stubb was hurt and Don Hahn would move to right field. Unfortunately, he would stumble in the outfield many times, including a massive fielding error in Game 2 that saw the A's tie the game. Fortunately, though, the Mets did win in extra innings. Mays' last hit, regular season or postseason, happened in Game 2 when he had an RBI single off of Rollie Fingers in the 12th inning. That was actually the winning run as the Mets won that game. He put up 24 all appearances in the All-Star game, of course, only behind Hank Aaron. Despite losing 2 years due to the Army, he still did fantastic. He still holds the records for most at-bats at the World Series, All-Star game, 75, most hits, 23, most runs, 20, and stolen base, 6. So, yeah, he was pretty good in all that. He was a good guy and all that. He had a legacy. In the first year of eligibility, he won the trip. 94.6% people voted him to the Hall of Fame. Mays got a lot of talent. The Giants would retire as number 24 in 1972, which was huge because, well, let's face it, 24 had to be retired for Willie Mays. And then the Mets decided to retire as number 24, despite him not having the best seasons for them. He has a lot of records. He's got 660 home runs, 1,903 batted in RBIs. So you put up 12 gold gloves, a record for outfielders shared by Roberto Clemente. Baseball's all-time leader in outfield putouts, and put up 2,842 games as an outfielder. Only Ty Cobb and Barry Bonds would surpass it. So he knew the sabermetrics and all that, too. Anyway, the cultural effect was huge in the New York area because of stickball, and he actually would participate in local stickball games with kids. So he likes stickball and all that. Post-playing career, he was with the Mets organization as a hitting instructor until 1979. He actually took a job as a greeter at Bally's Casino in Atlantic City. Unfortunately, though, Bowie Kuhn, the commissioner, did not like it and basically banished Mays from baseball alongside Mickey Mantle. So anyway, Kuhn was just worried that he was aligning himself with baseball gambling, but it was actually found out that he was just a greeter, and the casino did not engage in sports betting. Fortunately, Peter Ueberroth in 1985, a year after he replaced Kuhn as commissioner, said that Mays and Mantle did nothing wrong, so they basically were allowed to go back to baseball and all that. So yeah, a lot of sponsor stuff and all that. There's a song named after him, Say Hey, the song 1954, and then center field mentions Mays, Cobb, and DiMaggio, and then talking baseball, Willie, Mickey, and the Duke for all those, the 3 center fielders for the 3 New York teams. Mays for the New York Giants, Mickey for the Mantle for the New York Yankees, and Duke Snyder for the Brooklyn Dodgers. Major League Baseball would actually rename the World Series MVP award the Willie Mays MVP award. And Mays actually was the 3rd husband of Marguerite Chapman, but they separated in 1962. In 1970, he would marry May Louise Allen, a child welfare worker in San Francisco. And she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and Mays would care for her until her death in 2013. Mays, of course, is the godfather of Barry Bonds, whose father, Bobby Bonds, played for the Giants with Mays. So, yeah, Barry Bonds obviously couldn't take number 24 when the Giants picked him up from Pittsburgh. So he wore 25, making it his number and all that. Mays says he has had some glaucoma issues. But other than that, like, Willie Mays is an icon. And you can't beat that. I mean, the cultural impact, the records, the fact that he played every game in the National League and all that. He's like the best National League plus hitter. Well, I mean, Hank Aaron too. But Hank Aaron played 2 years for the Brewers, which was in the American League. So I think Willie Mays is the greatest player to play in the National League exclusively. I mean, Sam Musial could be close, but Willie Mays did his job. I mean, Babe Ruth played in the National League, but the American League primarily. So yeah, he's an icon. Can't beat that. And he's still alive, which is amazing. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond to do.